and welcome to AleksTabletops MTG Study YouTube specials, pre-recorded session 16. The name of the episode is again the ranked draft Theros Beyond That Equals Mastery Parts Part 5. My name is Alex, and yes, we will continue with our sixth, I don't remember, either way. We will continue with our next draft run. So again, so far we went through 1, 2, 3, 4 drafts. So yeah, this is our fifth draft run. We like 200 gems short, and also 400k gold short. We also no, not 400. 1, 2, 3, 4, 20. 200 gold short. So again, I had a decent amount of gold to keep the draft going. This was the most unsuccessful draft, ranked draft equals mastery pass run, like in general overall run, because it took us like a lot of runs to get to the proper place. So again, I decided that since I'm not gonna be able to win that many matches again, I will always gonna choose a gold card. That way I have just I guess just more chances to get a additional copy of rare card in my collection, hoping that I will pass a fourth copy and get at least 20 gems. Because again, yes, previous draft was pretty successful, like 4 wins and 3 losses, at least considering that the previous draft was completely unsuccessful, like 1 win or 2 wins. So getting four wins, almost 5 actually, it was pretty cool. So yeah. So again, trying to decide what type of deck we're going to build. So again, let's just speed up the process of choosing, because again, it's quite annoying, it could be quite long trying to choose. So again, most of the choices are pretty, again, logical. I'm not picking the, I would say, top cards that play well in this format necessarily. Which is, again, probably I should, but still, I'm trying to pick cards that I feel like work together here, and that I see value in them in general. Either the value in relation to the cards that I already have in my deck, or the general value in terms of a certain specific situations that we already experienced in the draft. Especially, like, I'm making the choices based on how those cards show themselves in previous draft runs. Like, if I deemed those cards successful or efficient, I will most likely choose them again and again. Again, if they succeeded throughout the game and helped me and actually provided me with a good kind of attack. For instance, this enchantment that I wanted to pick, Muggy's Favor, yeah, like, again, it's a pretty good one because, like, multiple games in a row, it helped me to deal a lot of damage to the opponent. Yeah. But again, since now we have a pretty different combination of colors, again, I'm trying to, like, I'm still thinking about switching to black. Yeah, and I probably make a decision to switch to black. So this deck probably going to focus around some black and white. So yeah, decision made. Which is, again, it's relatively early to make this decision. I still could kind of go through the picks and maybe we'll change something. But again, lately I'm seeing a lot of black cards succeeding and helping to win the games. So I decided to stick to that, and basically decided to make this deck either focus around devotion to one of the colors, either to white or black, or make this deck just basically kind of a, again, mid-range slash, like, a little bit more towards aggression. But maybe it's just going to be on and on, like, self-sufficient deck without necessarily focusing on opponent. which is probably something that I'm at this point building. I don't have that many debuffs or buffs, so like especially debuffs or counter spells or whatever. So far this deck seems like a pretty self-sufficient deck. So again, just probably will here decide to, again, we have a lot of pretty cool choices, but I need to pick a rare card just to extend my collection, so I have a little bit more choices to get an excess of gems by having multiple copies of rares. Even in the long run, even like if later I will buy boosters, so we'll get boosters from season rewards or whatever, I still have more, or from Mastery Pass itself, I still have more chances to get multiple copies of those cards past 4th, and for 5th copy, we'll potentially could get additional gems. If it's going to be again rare, we will get 20 gems, and if it's going to be a mythic, it's going to be 40 gems. It's pretty cool. So less matches we will need to win in draft. So basically the choices are going around. So here again it's pretty hard choice to make. So this draft is actually like I spent quite decent amount of time to choose. Like again, I have a lot of pretty cool choices. We could choose a 4/4 for a later drop, which is definitely will give us a lot of like positive stuff, because this is, I believe, is pretty top card in the draft in general. That this unicorn 4/4. For later drop, it's definitely could potentially, if you have enough enchantments, could help you to win the game. But since I don't have that many enchantments in my deck, I actually have a decent amount of enchantments. Probably will decide to choose it. Yeah, so here I will probably choose Flicker of Fate to re-enter the enchantment. We saw how cool it was to re-trigger a enchantment ability with re-trigger a constellation. Although I don't have that many cards with constellation, I still have a lot of enchantments that upon re-entering the battlefield will give something to me, so I probably will pick a couple of them here. And especially even if you're not going to re-trigger, you still will be able to keep your enchantment intact if opponent decides to destroy it or remove it somehow from the battlefield. Just exile it and it will return without need of replaying it later or losing it in general. Yeah, so we see a pretty top green card in but again it's pretty late to change colors here. Let's just move on with the choices here. Putting in the sideboard unmatched colors. Oh snap, we got Calyx, which is pretty cool, so of course I will choose it again. That's pretty cool. In speed up voice he talked to us, or spoke. So it was pretty cool. Like chipmunks. Either way, so so yeah, continue to go with the picks. So decided to focus this deck a little bit more on aggression side, I guess, because again, one of the things that in general works is aggression. Ruthless aggression. No, regular aggression. Just an aggression because draft, you either win quickly or you will make this game so long that both of you will lose all of your cards in your library, and the one who has lesser cards will lose. So again, usually aggressive tactics are kind of a go-to. At least, again, I'm not here to give any advices because I'm pretty bad at draft, but still, like, to my estimate at this point, considering the current experience that I got from the drafts, most of the time aggressive decks are for sure not something that you have to avoid. So they're always a good idea because again, I wouldn't say that this is a for sure choice, but it all depends on the set. This set is actually pretty well balanced. I believe it has a decent amount of aggressive cards, decent amount of cards that could slow down the game and make game a little bit longer, and I don't know. Theros Beyond Death in general is a pretty cool set. Again, I like it a little bit better than the previous set. So the draft itself is a little bit more fun to play. The previous set was probably was based more around control than the aggro, as I remember properly, or at least the control part of the set was a little bit more playable than the aggressive part. So yeah, we finished with the draft. So again, we got a lot of cards that we're not going to use, but at the same time we extended our collection pretty cool, but in a pretty good fashion. So I believe this is either a third or fourth copy of the Calyx. It's pretty cool. Hopefully I'm properly naming him Calyx, not Salix. Probably Calyx. Destiny's Hand. Yeah, the ability of Calyx with exiling target creature or enchantments and tying it to your own enchantment is actually one of your own enchantments is a pretty cool ability. But again, unfortunately, we don't have any greens here, and putting him in this deck could cost me a lot. Like, I truly have 0 green cards. I mean, we could put it in here and put a couple of greens, but it's just going to mix up the whole deck, and unfortunately, we got it too late in the game to do any changes. It's just going to make this deck less consistent. That is it. So yeah, I'm trying to decide, like, should I keep the devotion to white or not, because we don't necessarily have that many white cards in this deck to keep the devotion. So maybe having multiple copies of certain cards not necessarily seems like a good idea. So again, I'm trying to make this deck a little bit less heavy on cards, but ideally most of these drafts I played with 40, more than 40 cards, like 45, 50 cards. I believe last round I decided to play even 60 cards after this one. So again, I didn't necessarily played within the rules. I decided to kind of make things. So I truly don't know like how to approach this these 2 remaining runs, because these 2 remaining runs are pretty, like, I know that they're gonna be a pretty unsuccessful ones. So in each of them I will probably win only 1 match, which is again since we only need 200 gems, and it wasn't enough during this run, which means that there's going to be another run again, which it probably means that I will lose most of the matches and win only 1 of them in each, which means that we probably could speed up the whole process. Yeah, let's just speed up the process, because again, like, if this run would be like successful, I will probably keep it a little bit longer, but to make these episodes a little bit shorter, like, considering the fact that I'm not going to go like, again, it's a pretty regular speed up, like probably 2x, not that big. So again, opponent established a relatively aggressive deck. We have a decent amount of blockers, so unfortunately we're not able to attack, or we're going to lose all of our creatures here. So this is one of the games probably where opponent is just going to put too many creatures in play, and we will burn out. So here I'm thinking that opponent might have something to sacrifice this creature, or to buff a creature with, but I probably should block though. Maybe opponent had a plan to kill 2/3, I don't know. Kind of missed something here. So again, we need a third swamp to put Underworld Dreams in play. This is the only thing that could help us to slowly drain opponent while opponent gaining attack power. Because again, unfortunately, we don't have a defense power. All cards that we could potentially play right now are non-playable. So here is the place where we actually saved one of our creatures. It's pretty cool. So now at least we will be able to play something like Daxus. So here is the quite like choice. I mean, of course, I probably will choose to play Daxus first because it has a little bit more potential. I probably will press with... No, decided not to press. Probably should. It would give a good chance of get rid of 2/4 if opponent would decide to block with it, because it's just going to grow. Yeah, definitely should attack, because now opponent plays a sacrificer. So here we could save one of our creatures, but we're not going to be able to save 2/2. No, we will be able to save 2/2, but we still have to sacrifice a creature, and here I will probably sacrifice 2/3. Just because it will produce us, it will give us more lives. Opponent probably, like, I don't know, reacted with oops because we made a bad choice. Of course. So with 7/6 Mythic, we don't have a choice here, or chance here, I guess. Even putting Underworld Dreams at this point in play is just not going to go, so I will still do this probably. I don't know, still sticking to my stuff. Yeah, right now I will push. Not decide to push. So again, two turns in a row I decided not to push with 2/4, which I should. I just didn't want to lose it though, because it's a pretty significant card, which now is indestructible almost, because it has hex proof. So so I guess I had a plan of some kind. So again, at least we will gain some lives here. So here I will probably replace it on a flyer, because I have a little bit more chances to attack with a flyer. It also will make it a little bit better blocker. So it's not like this match actually could potentially be a winner. I mean, now opponent will draw multiple cards per turn potentially. We have a card that opponent almost can't kill, like in 2/5 with a pretty decent blocker. It also has the ability to gain Vigilance, which we actually will give it right now. We also will be able to give it a lifelink. Right now we're also putting a Gargon, which is again give us even more lives. So again, we have a pretty decent chance of winning this one now. Like, again, Underworld Dreams will definitely help us. 3/6 will definitely help us. So, and even though opponent has a lot of blockers, opponent not necessarily able to attack, which probably opponent will do this turn, attack with all of them. Oh snap, we're actually pretty close to losing here. No, opponent just decides to attack. I will probably decide to block, but it doesn't matter. So here probably it's a good choice to kill 5/4 with 3/3. It's a weird choice here though. Oh, I decided to keep 3/3 alive, and yeah. Yes, here I made a mistake. Probably should kill 5/4 with Gargon. Let's hope it's not going to cost me a loss. But it will probably, because this is the match. Let's just make this match a little bit slower towards the end, because I remember it was a pretty huge misplay right here, because I forgot, not necessarily forgot, but I miscalculated the fact that opponent able to utilize 5/4 to sacrifice creatures. So here I will press. I should press probably with all of my creatures here, and instead I will not. So right here I believe it's illegal, and I will miss this lethal damage for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe because I will somehow be afraid that opponent is going to protect himself, or maybe opponent will actually will protect himself. I don't know. I will definitely misread something right here. So, like right now I'm thinking of attacking with all of them, and I probably should attack with all of them. but it also could be a mistake because I might misread something and I will miss potentially a block and opponent will kill me next turn. So either this will happen or I will deal illegal damage at this point. But again, I'm afraid that I'm not going to deal illegal damage because opponent has 5-4. Or maybe we will deal excessive damage. I don't know. I don't remember. We'll see. So there is something here that I misread. Just because I didn't necessarily pay attention to all of the cards and their synergies. Especially like 5-4. This is probably the first time that I'm like exactly seeing this Strider. With Sacrifice Another Creature and Scry. Before that I didn't necessarily see it too much. So again, we were pretty close. So now opponent was able to save himself. Herself. And next turn, we might potentially we potentially could not have blockers. Oh no, we're actually winning the game. Or not? We're not winning the game. Opponent potentially still will be able to save himself. Yep. And this is one of the craziest kind of turns here. So again, we could win here, but opponent able to exile one of our creatures. So again, 2-4. That we could potentially kill earlier by attacking with our 2-2 with double strike if opponent blocked with it. And now with one turn opponent actually could potentially kill us. Just hope not, but it feels like this is exactly it. Like losing with one life. Yep, we're losing. I believe we're losing. Two, three, four, 5, or we're not. I truly don't know. There is a chance that opponent might survive for a couple of more turns, or not, or we're actually winning. Yeah, I remember this match was a pretty awesome match. I mean, the progression of the match up to this point was pretty kind of logical, but then a lot of things kicked in, and the opponent barely survived. And here, I believe this is it. Cool. So yeah, we got our first win, which was actually a pretty cool one. So now let's just speed up the process. The cats that I believe should be banned, they are pretty annoying. In combination with the oven, they are pretty crazy. Should be banned. Or at least suspended, not banned. I believe suspended, until meta will change. So yeah, so the rest of the matches will probably go with a speed up, unless we will get something like super close. Because again, don't want to waste time in this video. I believe this is the only match that I won in this run. It was the first match, and it was a good start, but then something went wrong. Maybe we didn't get enough. Like for instance, right here we have again Underworld Dreams, which would ideally could be a good idea to play early, but we don't have a proper amount of lands to put it in play. So yeah, also opponent has a pretty weird cards in the deck that I didn't saw before in draft, so which potentially could make for an interesting experience. Also opponent plays draft in a pretty high rank, so which means that opponent probably has more experience in draft in general. So, like again, it's a pretty fast start, but opponent has, I guess, a control deck, which is a bad thing for us. Because we pretty quickly go into... Yeah, so again, you see my frustration with not having enough cards for Underworld Dreams. Not enough lands, so Mana Screw right here is definitely screwing us. And this is bad. Now we have to discard cards, which is even worse situation, because I wouldn't want to lose those cards. Still trying to keep Underworld Dreams in play, because like in hand, because I'm truly like hoping that we will get a third freaking swamp. And this passive removal in this particular, or passive life drainer in this particular situation is the base case scenario for us. because the opponent not necessarily going to attack us. We need something that could slowly drain opponent out of life without necessarily, like, passively, without attacking, so basically passively. And the only passive removal, passive life drainer is Underworld Dreams at this point, and unfortunately, we're not able to play it because of the stupid swamps. You gotta be kidding me. So we actually kind of lost a lot of swamps right here with this triggered ability, so maybe we even... And now we're, I guess, done because opponent placed 8/8 in play, which we're not going to be able to do anything about. But we'll see, we'll see. I don't know why I chose to keep this enchantment thing. I believe I have a plan to return my Pegasus somehow, which not going to be possible though. So again, definitely need a swamp because I still kind of have my hopes on Underworld Dreams. Yeah, we will be able. Yeah, we'll be able to return Pegasus, which is a good thing. So now we have a flyer that could potentially attack, which is a good thing. But of course, opponent will tap it. Why opponent gain control of it though? I misread something in this card. Seriously? So again, I wish we would be able to play Underworld Dreams earlier. So if we would play it earlier, we might have a chance in this match. But since it's basically got too late, and of course opponent drawing this, so we have to block. Don't have a choice here. Yeah, we're losing either way. So yeah, it was pretty kind of disappointing match. I mean, so let's see, will I make choices? So there is a potential that I could get rid of the enchantment returners. I mean, they are pretty good against control deck with removal or whatever, but other than that, it's not necessarily works. Although, like, also I didn't utilize yet cards that, like the enchantment that allows us to return cards after dying, like the minions return, I believe. We have 2 copies which we didn't utilize once in this match with this deck, so still decided to keep it though. So this deck is pretty heavy in general. It's not cool at all. Like, we're having troubles with lands. I fixed a little bit more, like the amount of lands here, but I doubt that it will result in anything good here. We'll see. So yeah, again, we got a pretty risky hand here, but at the same time it's pretty cool. So we have a 3 kind of a decent plays. Not going to be able to play Leonine though, unless we get a plane. Yeah, it's a pretty bad situation right from the beginning. Right from the beginning. So you have to skip here. Can force into opponent discard something. So I mean, yeah, I decided to discard something that will discard card. Potentially could discard cards. Force us to discard a card. So yeah, opponent has too aggressive deck, and this card basically did everything. Come on, like 1/2 devotion to white. It's just 6 additional creatures placed, and we don't have anything to deal with them. I mean, like nothing. It's pretty annoying. Like another match, I got basically destroyed. Although previous match I would say we had a chance, but this is not that match. I mean, even considering the fact that we not got mana screwed at all, so it's a pretty decent trade-off. But again, like, come on, it was like 30 seconds match with the speed up process. Ugh. Okay, cool. So got first win and then 2 losses in a row and less matches left, and of course it's disappointing. Like, I'm starting to panic because I truly hope that this is going to be my last run, and I'm like sitting and thinking to myself, oh no, I have to spend another 5k. Dang, not cool. So yeah, making a couple of choices in a deck. Most of the choices are again adaptive to what I experienced the last couple of matches. So this is the problem. I don't know, like, if I'm properly making decisions. Sometimes this is, I guess, if you're a more experienced Magic player, you could tell me if I'm making things right, like doing the making proper decisions or not. Sometimes I'm changing the deck right after a certain match to adapt it to the deck that I played before. Like, for instance, if like right now we played a lot of cards that produced a lot of small tokens and had a couple of removals. So ideally, what I would choose is to, if it was a standard, of course. Oh, I decided to make this deck a complete mono black, which probably I decide not to go with, and because it's too limited, and also it's not enough cards. Yeah, if I will truly get rid of the all whites, I don't have anything to put in the deck, so I decided then to return white cards back. I'm probably not going to save this version. So yeah, like thinking of adding a red color here, which again a possibility. I don't know if I will make this like super crazy decision at this point, because again I have too many white cards to completely remove them out of the equation. Probably will return back to black white colors deck. So either way, while I'm thinking and trying to rebuild things, so again, getting back to the weird decision making process when it comes down to the changing the deck and making it better. So again, sometimes I'm changing the deck right after I decided to discard changes. So yeah, sometimes I'm making changes right after the match. So like I played a match and now for some reason I'm thinking that I will play against the same player or against similar deck, and I'm making those choices, and my deck is constantly kind of changing. I almost never like sticking to one deck for too long, because if I have an unsuccessful match, I'm not thinking that this match was unsuccessful just because I didn't got proper draws on or just got a bad match in terms of the matching decks. So the deck is basically a pretty, like, the worst match for my deck. So instead of thinking like this, I'm sometimes thinking like too personal in terms of like, whatever, my deck has to fight almost everything, so I will rebuild it to fight almost everything, which never gonna be the case, because your deck always will have weaknesses. Oh, this is the worst case scenario. Your deck is always gonna have weak points and strong points against certain decks. So yeah, trying to rethink. So yeah, I guess I should say this is a relatively decent draw. At least we have a couple of cards. So again, I believe this is a pretty early decision to make, to put this enchantment. Yeah, decided to hold it for quite a while. So for now, my plan is to establish defense and hope that opponent is not going to, like, with this card I probably should stay in the block. Had a little bit more chances there, maybe. Potentially kill. So here it's time to place a removal. So again, usually this type of removal that forces you at the beginning of your turn to sacrifice a creature for the opponent's side, you probably will place it on a card that has more value, because that opponent either will sacrifice this card or keep it in play if it has too much of a value and sacrifice the rest. So here I'm doing everything that I can to kind of stop opponent's attack. Also, we're not getting that many like good cards necessarily. It's a good thing that we got something that allowed us to draw. We kind of have mana flood, I should say. Too many lands, I say. Although it's equal amount to what opponent has, but still. No, this is the game changer. Hello there, Lamia, Grave Digger or whatever, Grave Breaker. So yeah, we got a cool Underworld Dreams, but so what? At this point, it's not necessarily going to give us anything. Like I probably should not play this one this turn. Like I probably should keep it for later to give double strike 2 turns in a row, maybe attack twice. I played everything in 1 turn. It's kind of not necessarily a good idea here. So, of course it was a mistake. I mean, I knew that opponent probably has a bad buff, so it was too risky. I lost all of my creatures. So, I'm truly hoping that this Gargoyles kind of will help me somehow, like at least to kill for 4. But it doesn't matter. Opponent has too many big creatures. Like, if opponent is going to lose each of those big creatures, opponent will basically produce a lot of small small cards that eventually will kill me. So again, I get rid of the biggest creature, opponent produced additional satyrs, so it doesn't matter at this point, truly. I mean, no matter what I will do, it's just a matter of time before I will lose. I burned out completely, opponent still has 3 cards in the deck, and even Underworld Dreams are not going to help us at this point. So again, decided to kind of like keep my 5/2 alive for additional turn, hopefully to kill 4/4. Next one, also we got a unicorn, which is a good thing, but again, we're running out of lives and it's just not enough time to rebuild ourselves. So it's a weird choice here. I'm kind of suspecting that opponent might have some type of removal or a buff. Yep, so lost all of our creatures. So far things are quite well. I mean, as long as we will get something good, we kind of might even come back. But opponent returns a key card from the graveyard, and we're in trouble again. And we have nothing to kill it with, unfortunately. So, in order to kill now this, and then also opponent put this one, which will be able to return back from the graveyard. Also this one is pretty annoying, which will allow opponent to sacrifice creatures. Exiling the lands. Probably should exile creatures though, but still. So yeah, an opponent constantly will rebuild himself or herself with 4/4 lifelink, so we basically don't have that many choices right here. So it's pretty annoying. So again, I could make a choice to kill 4/4 right here, which I probably should because now opponent entered 3/2, kill the creature, and we're done. So at least we were able to return a big creature from the graveyard. Still, but still not enough. I mean, 3/3, 4/4, 3/2, and 3/3 will become bigger. So we're done. We don't have anything with lifelink, and even Underworld Dreams basically didn't get anything in this game. So it was a complete beatdown, fortunately. Unfortunately. So yeah, this is basically finishes our 5th, I guess, run. So still didn't got enough. I mean, only 100 gems, which is kind of disappointing again. I truly hope that I will win at least a couple of matches to get to the point of finishing with this run, but 100 gems left before we will buy Mastery Pass, and I was truly disappointed at this point. Like, the overall runs were pretty disappointing. It took me quite a bit of time to justify the cost or the losses in gold, because I lost a lot of gold. Yeah, we're also gonna look through the collection, I believe, still. Yeah, I lost a lot of gold with this, and again, we're pretty close. Damn it, it's so freaking annoying that I have to go through another run of the draft. It's just like, oh yeah, I didn't actually look through the collection for some reason. I was too disappointed to look through the collection, actually. Either way, so yeah, I guess this is it. It's going to end this run, so next run is going to be around this time, so time frames about 40 minutes. I will try to make it around 40 minutes. Most of the matches we will speed up, maybe even we'll make the session a little bit less. So yeah, on this note, we're gonna end the session. Thank you for watching, thank you for being here, have a nice day or night, and see you in the next and the last run of ranked draft Theros Beyond Death equals Mastery Pass. So yep, see you later, bye.